is an automated news ticker filled with dynamic content from an external XML source. To augment this news ticker, we will create another ticker that displays financial information, also sourced from an external database. We will take advantage of many CharacterWorks 2024 features. We will also introduce a method for building a practical, customizable timer. As usual, we'll start by creating a new motion. To aid in placement of the new motion, let's pin the existing ticker motion in the Project Inspector. Creating a background for the finance ticker using the Solid tool. Gradient to stop is a good material for this background. To make use of the data coming from the data source, simply drag and drop onto the workspace. For a simple one-off project, this is quite sufficient. Yet, there is a more versatile, adaptable method: data mapping. Data mappings use the data source assignments in the data sources box in the Customize panel. So let's add a data source there to begin. Next, we'll add a mapping for each abstract data field to be used in the ticker. This ticker has asset, value, change, and signs mappings. Each mapping corresponds to a different field, column, in the data source. You can find more details in our video about data mapping. Now, let's create text layers and enter data mapping information to establish data mapping connections. Entering the data mapping name asset as previously determined. Text layout parameters can be adjusted as desired. It is recommended to enable the size lock and auto-fit options. This will limit the text area and make sure that the text always fits. Auto-fit may disturb the aspect ratio and make the text appear distorted. To avoid this, we can add font alternatives instead. Before CharacterWorks applies scaling to the text, it will check to see if it would fit by using one of the alternatives. The CWML attribute case can be set to upper to capitalize all text coming from the data source. To ensure that the conversion to uppercase takes place correctly, the locale CWML attribute can be used. Value layer is easily created by copy-paste and changing the data mapping name. Left of value is a suitable location for the change indicator. Just some more copy-paste and changing the data mapping name to sign. We need to select an appropriate font so that the correct symbol is displayed. CharacterWorks layer parent-child hierarchy allows any layer to be embedded into a text layer, including images, image sequences, video, or even another complete composition. We make text layer a child of the TXT value layer via drag and drop. The index parameter of the child CWML tag determines which child layer is to be shown in a text layer. It would be nice if this indicator would change colors depending on the value increasing or decreasing. This can be achieved by applying an expression to the color attribute of the solid material block that gives the sign layer its color. The colors can be hard-coded in the expression, but it would be more flexible to have them specified via the Customize panel. First, we create 3 different color attributes in the Customize panel: positive, negative, and neutral. Then we create a new expression for the solid color and add the customization color attributes as inputs. The expression is rather simple. If the change in the data mapping is greater than 0, the result will be the color of input attribute 0. If it is negative, it will be the color of input attribute 1, and if it is 0, it will be the color of input attribute 2. The colon in front of the mapping name is important, as this indicates a mapping name, as opposed to a data column field name. Now, the Customize panel can be used to control the colors. If desired, the alpha value of neutral can be set to 0 to make it invisible. Selecting the layers that make up the first row and creating a composition. For the sake of practicality, it is recommended to move the anchor point to a suitable location. The second row will be derived from the first row. What needs to be done is to add item equals 1 to the CWML for each layer. This makes them display the data for the next row. You may have noticed that, although the indicator has changed, its color has not. The color expression also needs to be edited. In the expression, the third parameter for the num function specifies the index offset, which needs to be set to 1. The layers showing data of the first 2 rows of the data source are now ready. Any graphics outside of the background area should be clipped. By turning on Motions Bounds and Clip, we limit the display area to the background we have prepared. The motion bounds are useful in masking off parts of animations that should not be seen on screen. Next up is the animation setup. For the animation, we will make use of CharacterWorks 2024's multi-track animation feature. Creating a new animation and setting its loop. Building the intro and outro animations, utilizing the auto key feature. We can set keyframe ease in, out interpolation functions to enrich the animation. The second composition needs to be animated in the same way. 2 compositions are needed because during transition, Data from consecutive rows will be on display simultaneously, even if for a short time. A little trick. This time, instead of building from scratch with keyframes, we can export an animation preset. Then, select the target layer, right-click on the newly created animation preset, and select Apply. The second composition effortlessly animated. Now, CharacterWorks needs to know when these two animations will play. The idea is to use animation behaviors to make animations work when certain events occur. Creating a new behavior, setting play as the action and the appropriate events. The first animation can start immediately when the motion starts, but it would be more appropriate to start with layer in case one wants to change the timing with relative to the motion. The OR operator is used when we need at least one of the specified events to occur. To make animation 1 play again when the animation 2 finish is activated, we also add the animation 2 finish signaled event. Animation 2 will only play when the animation 1 finish is activated, for which we create the relevant behavior. To test the animations and behaviors, we can create some grid buttons. Adding finish buttons for both Animation 1 and Animation 2. The animations and behaviors are working as expected. Next up is making the motion advance through the rest of the data rows. There are some layer behavior actions that we can use for this. Next item all sources is one such action, which makes the layer advance to the next row in the data source when executed. The best time to execute this action is when the animation ends, when the layer disappears from the screen. Actually, two of these behaviors are needed, as we need to advance by 2, since there are 2 compositions showing row and row plus 1. All layers affected by Animation 1 need to have these 2 behaviors. And the same goes for the layers animated with Animation 2. Advancing to the next row of data with grid keys may work for news lower thirds. An automated ticker needs a different method, though. Here is how a timer can be set up in CharacterWorks to advance the ticker in a completely automated manner. This is actually a general method that can be useful in a variety of projects. Select the motion and create a scalar from the dynamic box at the bottom of the Attributes tab. This new scalar attribute will be used to drive the timer. Creating a new animation from the animation panel. This is very important. This lets the timer run independently, and the length of this animation determines the maximum duration for the timer. Here, the length of the animation is set to 10 seconds. Then, we create a keyframe in this animation. This keyframe's distance from the beginning will determine the duration of the timer. The timer mechanism makes use of a keyframe-related event, key reached, instead of the grid buttons previously created for the finish action in the animation's behaviors. Key reached can be used. Note that the timer animation needs to restart for the timer to run continuously, and not just once. Therefore, we create behaviors on Animation 1 and Animation 2 to restart the timer. It is even possible to have the timer's duration, the keyframe time, specified by a customized panel attribute. Creating a scalar customization attribute. The time of a keyframe can be controlled by an expression, which is exactly what we will do. Now, the value entered in the customizer controls the expression, and thus the timer duration. So, there we have it. A user-friendly, customizable, practical, data-driven ticker for use in all kinds of projects.